Hello bookish besties and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going over 15 or more books that I think you guys should read during the fall season. I hope you guys get a new read out of this recommendation video because these are some of my favorite horror and cozy fall reads. First, we're going to be going over some books that I physically own, and then we're going to be going over the books that I don't physically own. I'm also going to be going over the format in which I read them, if I'd recommend the audiobook or the ebook or which style of reading. The first one is Broken Bonds by Bree. I've talked about this one over and over again. I read this on Kindle Unlimited and it is still on Kindle Unlimited. This is the first book in the Bonds That Tie series and I love this one. It's a reverse harem. It's our main character Oleander with 5 different guys, and I actually have a little Oleander ring on for her. It's her and her 5 bonds. She wants to run away from her bonds because she has a really disastrous power, and being bonded or having bonds basically means that you're like genetically compatible with somebody, and this whole system like sets you up with them. It's her in college. We see her relationship with her 5 bonds and we get to see her with her powers, and there's some darker stuff going on in the background. So if you like anything paranormal, anything with powers, reverse harem, Awad shoes, I think you guys would love this one. The next one is Bunny by Mona Awad, and I'm really excited because when I'm filming this video, We Love You Bunny actually comes out tomorrow, and I'm so excited for it. Bunny is a fever dream of a book, and it's a literary grad student, and she is observing / entering the world of this hive mind group of girls in her writing class. Things just get strange from there, and then the ending is absolutely mind-blowing. I actually did not know what was going on, but then in the end you kind of figure it out and everything comes together. So while it is a fever dream of a book, things do make sense in the end, which is something that I really enjoyed. Basically, if you like a culty vibe mixed with an unreliable narrator mixed with absolutely like unhinged females, then I would definitely recommend this book to you. And We Love You Bunny comes out, and that is like a sequel prequel, so you'll get to see kind of like some different perspectives of this book in the new one. Bunny I did read physically, and I really recommend reading that one physically because I think if you're not like totally immersed in the story, that a lot of confusion can happen. The next one is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Now I really love Grady Hendrix. I actually have another rec of his on this video, but I don't own it physically, so that'll be later in the video. This one is giving peak 80s horror and exorcism vibes. So Abby and Gretchen are best friends, and they're in high school in the 80s, and they're at this lake house, and Gretchen gets possessed and she starts to act really different, and Abby's the only one that's noticing this, and so it's Abby trying to figure out how to help her friend because nobody else is believing her. Grady Hendrix really sets like an era in his books. I would definitely give this one a reread. I did read it physically and I really had a good time with it. If you want to feel like you're reading a classic horror movie, definitely read this. Next one is one of my favorite thrillers of all time, and that's Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I'm really picky with my thrillers because a lot of the time they make me really upset with like a supernatural weird twist when it wasn't set up that way, or it's just something so simple it doesn't get me or intrigue me. But this ending really surprised me, so I really was in love with this. They go to this island where their Nana lives for her birthday, which is on Halloween, and her family's kind of like ignoring her. The family has really bad tension and they don't really get along with each other. The Nana's kind of trying to pull everyone together to get along, and everyone gets stuck there because of this storm basically like washes in and it blocks the road for them to get out. At midnight, Nana actually is dead, and that's not a spoiler, that's in the description. And then every hour after that, another family member starts to die with these cryptic kind of like poem-esque writing on the walls and clues being left, so they have to figure out who's doing this, what the person wants them to figure out, and old secrets begin to reveal themselves. And like I said, the ending is actually insane. I read that one via audiobook, and I really actually did enjoy the audiobook, so I'd recommend it in any format. The audiobook was very enjoyable, like I said. Then we have, right now it's a duology that I recommend, but that is Enchantra and Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. I read both of these, both physically and ebook. I don't know what the audiobooks sound like, but I had a really great time reading them physically. I do like Enchantra more than I like Phantasma. Phantasma is Ophelia, and she has OCD, which I really connected with the character because I also have OCD, so I felt this character felt very relatable to me. In the beginning of this, like literally the first couple pages, and it's in the description, the mother dies and now they have this huge debt to pay off. So Ophelia enters Phantasma, which is like this roaming devil house that like if you enter you have to go through these trials. So she goes and meets a phantom that winds up helping her through these trials, and the trials are very well done, but they're also very quick and very gory. This book is actually pretty intense and I really liked it. The thing that bumped it down for me was the love interest. Some of the things he did and said I didn't love, and then I really did not like the ending, but I still think this was a solid book and I would read this one. You don't have to read Phantasma to read Enchantra. If you read Enchantra, it's going to give some things away for Phantasma, so if you want to read both of them, read Phantasma first. Now, Enchantra, I almost gave this 5 stars. This is Ophelia's sister Genevieve, and she's always been ignored by her mother because Ophelia was the one that was going to inherit the powers of the family. So Genevieve always had to fit in and be a little more normal than Ophelia had to be. So she goes seeking some other kids that grow up with paranormal families, and she finds someone that her mom used to know, so she goes to kind of investigate. But she enters this Enchantra house and she gets stuck having to marry the main character, Rowan, because she entered on the day when they start their yearly games with the devil, and all the siblings have to compete, and if she were in that house and didn't have their last name, then she would die. So in order to compete, she has to marry Rowan, and they get to compete together, but each night one of the siblings gets to be the hunter in a hide and go seek kind of game, and basically all the siblings have to murder each other until someone wins. The ending of this made me cry. It was so sweet and adorable, and I really liked Genevieve and Rowan together. Their banter was amazing, and I really liked some of the quotes from this one. Then we have a more cute and cozy fall read, and that's The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This has been getting really popular. I think I read it last year when it started to gain a little bit of popularity. So Jeannie's aunt decides to basically retire and leave the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So Jeannie comes and takes it over, and she meets a local farmer, Logan, and he's helping her solve a mystery that's going on with the cafe, and they just start spending more time together, and it's just a cute rom-com, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Gilmore Girls based off of the small town, but I really liked Jeannie and Logan's personality. And there's an adorable cat in this that's a little cafe cat, and I love him so much. And it sets up a few other characters for the series. This is my first ever true horror read, and that's The Troop by Nick Cutter. This one is really gross, so if you like body horror and gore, this one's definitely for you. This Scoutmaster Tim takes these Boy Scouts to a specific little island that's shown on the cover, but this year something goes wrong and a really hungry, weird acting man shows up on the island. He's carrying a disease that then spreads to the rest of the troop, and things start to go really, really wrong, and you discover what this disease is. So there's mixed media in this, which I really liked. So it's going back and forth between the timeline of the boys right now, and then the mixed media is it's interviews, news articles, different things that have to do with giving you pieces of what this disease is. And like I said, really gross body horror, really disgusting. There was two animal harm scenes that I skipped over personally because that stuff really gets me and I will sob and never forget about it. So you can skip those scenes if you just look up animal harm scenes. I think you can find out the page that those are on, or you can just kind of see it coming and you can skip the 1 or 2 pages. So this one has been compared to Lord of the Flies before, which I've never read, but that same kind of they're clashing and attacking each other and weird things are going on. But I really enjoyed this one. It's kind of like a Contagion viral outbreak body horror going insane kind of novel, which I enjoyed. Now, if you want a really good vampire read, then go with A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is a special edition that I have, and I'm just completely obsessed with it. It says, "I was so happy to be your marionette at first, so happy to be chosen. It was never my intention to murder you, not in the beginning anyway." And I'm pretty sure that's not a spoiler because, yeah. So the actual first chapter starts with, I never dreamed it would end like this, my lord. Your blood splashing hot flecks onto my nightgown and pouring in rivulets onto our bedchamber floor. But creatures like us live a long time. There is no horror left in this world that can surprise me. Eventually, even your death becomes its own sort of inevitability. So we start with finding out that she murdered her lover, and it is told in this second person style. It's written in letters from her to him. So the beginning of this one says, "You came to me when the killing was done." So it's always you or my lord or things like that. So I really enjoyed that kind of perspective. I thought it was different from books that I've read. So we go through this perspective of Constanta writing the letters to her lord, which is the man that finds her. He's a vampire. He turns her into a vampire, and we go through their life together. They collect more people into their family, turn them, and we're just seeing history through this perspective as well, and everything leading up to that first chapter where it says that she killed him. So I thought this was so well done. I read this physically. Actually, I read this ebook, but again, ebook physically, I would highly recommend that. I actually want to do a reread of this, maybe through audiobook, because now that I know the story, I would just like to relive it, and it has such beautiful writing that it would probably be amazing via audiobook. Now this one's another really popular but typical one, but I love it so much, and that is Butcher and Blackbird by Brynn Weaver. I met her last August. I actually have this book personalized. Can you see that? And she was amazing. Her husband was amazing. I say this every time I talk about one of her books, but she's just a really great person. This is about Rowan and Sloane, and they meet in a really weird way, and they find out that they're both serial unalivers that kill other serial unalivers, and Rowan kind of like falls in love with Sloane automatically and wants to see her, so he has his brother Lachlan plan this trip every year, where I think it's every year or every couple of months. I think it's every year though. It's been a while since I've read this. But every year they meet and go on a trip, and Lachlan picks out where a serial unaliver lives, and they meet and they kind of stay with each other, and it's a race to see who can figure out who the person is that their target is and who can them first. So it's a friends to lovers. I really liked this. There are some crazy things that happen in here, so definitely read the trigger warnings. I don't remember it being too spicy, but there's definitely a little bit of spice in here. Definitely crazy scenes, like I said. The ending threw me for a loop, and I really like this one. And I really also like Leather and Lark. I think I like this one a little better because I like Rowan and Sloane. They're my favorite. And I haven't read Scythe and Sparrow yet because I'm terrified for this series to end. Then this book I've read both physically and audiobooked it. I read it via audiobook first with the entire series, and then I physically read this first one. It's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And I really like Holly Jackson. I have read a few of her books. I have finished this entire series, and I've reread this one before watching the TV show, and I really liked this, and the TV show is really well done. I would recommend it either physically or audiobook. I thought the audiobook was really well done. So this is basically Pippa, and for her like senior capstone project, she's trying to prove Sal Singh innocent in the Andy Bell murder. So she basically goes through all of these insane lengths to get information on the Andy Bell case and winds up solving it in the end. And then the continuation of the series goes through, I think the second one, her friend's brother goes missing, and then the third one, someone's after her. And then there's a little novella where the friends play like a murder mystery game, which is really fun. But I think it's really fun. It's definitely YA, but it doesn't really feel super YA because this is my last book recommendation that I own. And I forgot that I actually had this Grady Hendrix on here too. But this one is one of my books that I think about like all the time, and I truly think it changed my life. I started listening to it on audiobook and realized it was too good for me to not read with my eyeballs. And that is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I love this one. I have an obsession with the 70s, specifically like 70s witchy Stevie Nicks vibes. This book is that. So we have our main character, and she is a 15-year-old pregnant girl, and she goes to this facility that is a place for wayward girls, which were real back in like the 70s. People would just send their pregnant daughters there, pretend they're not pregnant, they would have the baby, give it up for adoption, and then come back like they went to summer camp and nothing happened. Our main character goes there. She gets named Fern by like the head lady. Her dad drops her off. She does not want to be there. She makes friends with all of the other pregnant girls, but specifically 3 other girls. This library comes to them, I think every 2 weeks, and it's like a library bus, and the girls can pick out books to read. And Fern starts asking questions about like information and knowledge and all this other stuff, and the bus driver sees something in her that kind of calls to her, and she gives her this book, and it's about witchcraft. And it's a book that like things will show up when you think them, and like if you want to interpret something, it'll show you the answers. So it's kind of like a magic book. And so the girls start doing some spells, and they start messing with witchcraft, and it kind of bites them in the butt, and they have to deal with not only being this young and pregnant, but they have to deal with trying to combat this kind of like witchcraft that doesn't go well in the end, and they're also trying to get their power back through knowledge, because this whole book is basically, it's just adults taking girls' power away from them because they're not giving them the knowledge that they need. So it's all about knowledge is power. And again, amazing 70s vibe. I told you Grady Hendrix always does an era well. And Stevie Nicks vibes. Wonderful. Dancing under the moonlight with your coven. I love it. There's one more book that I do own, but I cannot find it. And it is one of my favorite witchy reads of the year, and I reread it normally every Halloween. That is the Ex Hex by Erin Sterling. I have always audiobooked it, and the narrator has one of my favorite like women narration voices, and I truly love that audiobook, and I love the entire series. I love those audiobooks for the whole thing. So I'm going to recommend both the Ex Hex and the Kiss Curse. I do own the Ex Hex, can't find it. I don't own the Kiss Curse, and then there's the Wedding Witch, which I didn't enjoy. So I'm only going to be recommending the Ex Hex and the Kiss Curse. So the Ex Hex is the first one. So this one is Vivian, which they call her like Vivi in the book, and Rhys Penhallow. Vivian goes on like a bad date with him, I think, and she winds up accidentally cursing him, and he has to come back and recharge the ley lines because his family are the ones that like founded that town, and they need to keep the magic going. So he comes back and he's cursed, and he accidentally curses the ley lines. So weird magical things start happening, and she actually teaches at the college, but I believe she teaches mortals. I love the whole academic scenery. The scenery is just so beautiful in this, with the trees, the small town, the little college setting. Rhys and Vivi basically have to go around and like try to find a way to break the curse so they can recharge the ley lines correctly and things can stop happening around the town, and it's literally just such a cute book. And then the Kiss Curse is about Vivi's cousin Gwen, and it's about Rhys's brother Llewellyn, or Wells. All of the Penhallow siblings and dad are from Wales, and again they come to charge the ley lines, but Wells is done working at the bar in Wales for his dad, so he comes to Gravesglen and he opens like kind of like a more real magical witch shop, and Gwen gets really pissed because she has like a cutesy magical witch shop that like is more for tourists, so they kind of start competing. And then also with that rivalry, there's like a new coven of witches that comes to town and starts messing with things, so they need to figure that out together as well. These are on Kindle Unlimited now, which is so exciting. I think I might do my yearly reread if I have time. If not, I'll probably do it on audiobook, but it's so exciting that these are on Kindle Unlimited. Now I'm going to talk about another Grady Hendrix book, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And this one was so fun. This is a little bit more goofy of one. I feel like My Best Friend's Exorcism and Witchcraft for Wayward Girls was kind of like a little more serious. This one's about like a group of like southern suburban moms that get together for a book club, but this creepy neighbor is really weird and they don't trust him, and kids are going missing in certain parts of town, and they have to try to figure out what's going on with this guy. And the one mom thinks he's a vampire, but none of the other moms believe her until they figure out he is, and now they need to get rid of him. So this one's a little bit more fun. It's giving more of like a 90s vibe. The House in the Pines is another really good thriller. Again, I don't have many thrillers that I like highly recommend, but this is one of them. Basically, we are introduced to the main character, and she's kind of traumatized because she had this really bad relationship that went wrong, and she saw him like kill someone right in front of her without even touching them, so she's just really confused. And then it happens again, and it winds up in the paper or on the news or something. He reappears and she's trying to prove what he did, but she can't really, and we're kind of getting like the before timeline and the now timeline, and it's kind of just, and the plot is kind of just crazy, and literally all I have to say is you need to read it and the ending will blow your mind. Another book that I love so much and I will never stop recommending is The Eyes of the Best Part by Monika Kim. Our main character is Korean, and she's dealing with her dad just leaving her mom for some woman. So the mom is kind of like a wreck, and she has a younger sister that she's kind of caring for. She's trying to keep the family together, and then the mom all of a sudden gets this new boyfriend who is definitely like fetishizing her mom for her race, which is super weird. He's trying to like flirt with the daughters, and just everything is wrong. All of a sudden our main character Jiwon, she just starts getting these really weird spurts where like she'll black out and she'll have these really weird kind of like daydreams almost of eating people's eyes, specifically her mom's boyfriend, because she hates him so much. So we're dealing with a lot of like pent up feminine rage from this girl, and weird things start happening where she actually does start eating people's eyeballs. The story kind of just goes through her trying to figure out what's going on with her, having friendships, navigating her mom's relationship with this creepy guy that she knows is bad for her mom, but her mom really likes him, and the ending is crazy and I loved it so much. But yeah, a lot of feminine rage in that book, and it's so well done. Another one that I really loved was When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I audiobooked this one and I had a great time. Audiobook narrator was kind of annoying with some of the voices she would do because there's a little kid involved and I didn't really love that. Our main character is working at like a really crappy diner and just dealing with really crappy people, and her life is not going the way she wants it to. And then she gets stuck by a needle in the bathroom and she's kind of panicking, thinking she's gonna get like some kind of disease, and she's just not in her right mind. So she drives home really fast, and then all of a sudden she goes outside and she finds a little boy, and she's like, what is going on? Like, are you lost? So she takes him inside, she gives him some food, she kind of lets him sleep, and then there's an argument outside, and there's someone that's not normally in the neighborhood. He's naked, he's arguing with the neighbors, and then all of a sudden he turns into this giant monster and starts killing everyone. So the little boy recognizes him and calls him daddy, and they have to run away. She's trying to protect this little boy, and she finds out that he has these weird supernatural abilities that allow whatever he is afraid of to come to life. So it's her trying to protect this little boy, take him away from his father, and a lot of weird things happen, and again, the ending is kind of crazy. Another really crazy extreme horror book that I do recommend if you want extreme horror. This one is a little out of the box. It's Mayfly by CJ Lead. I really enjoyed this one. I did think it was a little weird. I audiobooked it while also reading it on Kindle Unlimited. It was a very gruesome, extreme read. Definitely check your trigger warnings. Our main character works as a Disney princess, which is kind of funny because the things you learn about her, she's very weird and she likes very weird things. So I'm gonna read you the description because this one's really hard to explain. So it says, a provocative and unforgettable debut that is both a blood-soaked love letter to Los Angeles and a gleeful send-up to iconic horror villains. Mayfly will thrill fans of slashers and the macabre because it's a really, like I said, gory, gruesome, kind of unhinged book. Again, this one has feminine rage in it too. By day, Mayfly, which is her name is Mayfly, works at the happiest place in the world as every child's favorite ice princess. By the neon night glow of the Sunset Strip, Maeve haunts the dive bars with a drink in one hand and a book in the other, imitating her misanthropic literary heroes. But when Gideon Green, her best friend's brother, moves to town, he awakens something dangerous within her, and the world she knows suddenly shifts beneath her feet. So she kind of has like these dark urges, and she's finding little creepy dolls with like blood written on them, and she's trying to figure out who it is, and you can just see that she is attracted to like these really creepy, messed up things. It says, untethered, Maeve ditches her discontented act and tries on a new persona, a bolder, bloodier one inspired the pages of American Psycho. Step aside, Patrick Bateman, it's Maeve's turn with the knife. She meets Gideon and he kind of is telling her it's okay to accept her darker side, so she basically kind of goes on a killing spree. She is talking about like how her grandmother was also the same way and how her grandmother taught her to kind of like hide her urges. It was a very interesting book, but I do recommend it if you want something that's more extreme in the horror genre. Now to end it off on a very cutesy, fun rom-com note, we have Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I listened to this one on audiobook and it was really cute. Our main character moves from Texas to Scotland, I think. Her husband just passed away, so she's trying to like find herself again and just be somewhere different to get away from everything. So she meets her, I think, across the street neighbor, and he inherited the mortuary from his grandfather, but in order to actually like inherit it fully, he has to be married by 35, which is only in like I think less than a year. So she's helping him with the dating scene, and their rom-com stems from there, and it's adorable. There's some like workplace drama, and he protects her, and it's so sweet. This one's definitely more sweet, a little bit less like Halloween, but it's still fun for fall because he works in a mortuary. Those are the books that I recommend for the fall reading season. I think we covered a bunch of different genres, some paranormal romantasy, some horror, thrillers, cozy reads. So I hope you guys get a really good book from this recommendation video. And if you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments what you thought about them. If you have any more recs of your own, please leave them down below. I'm always looking for more fall reads. I did post my fall TBR already, so you guys can check out that video. I'll have that down in the description if you want to see what I'm excited to read this fall. If you made it this far, let's leave some cute little fall leaf emojis in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content. Happy reading and love you. Bye!